Hello guys and welcome back to Celebrity Big Brother, and today we have a juicy episode for you guys. For all of you people who are not watching, this is the kind of stuff that you are going to want to stick around for. It is nomination day. Come on guys, pew pew pew, woo! This is the shit that I get so excited for every single week. Technically it's twice a week with Celebrity Big Brother, but nominations are toxic. It gets deep. Everybody goes into the diary room, nominates two people that they want to leave the house, and then the person with the most votes, or technically normally the two people with the most votes, are put up for nomination. But because Gary is already up, we're only getting one more nomination. I think they should have just thrown a load of people up there, but it is what it is. I think keep it tame at the start, and then we can have a little bit more drama later down the line. But it was dramatic, and this was a fantastic episode. Honestly, 4 days into Celebrity Big Brother, and this is turning out to be one of the best series ever. It's absolutely fascinating and really, really fun to watch. So guys, if you are enjoying the episode, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. We are very, very close to 700. I'm pretty certain we are 32 subscribers away, which, in the grand scheme of things, guys, come on. I know there are more than 32 people unsubscribed watching this video, so make sure if you are not subscribed, then you are subscribing and joining the Ranters, because I'm delivering content daily. I'm talking about random TV shows and reality shows as well, so make sure you stick around because there's plenty more content to come. We are going to start with a potentially difficult topic to talk about because the internet is kind of divided over whether Ekin-Su is justified in her actions or whether she's in the wrong and she needs to sort of she's the mask is slipping. I am personally on the side of I think it's justifiable to an extent. I think sometimes the way okay, let me explain what happened basically. Love Island was the thing that made her famous. She won the show with Davide. And then there were two instances today where Love Island was brought up and it just seemed to really trigger Ekin-Su in a way that sort of didn't really... It didn't make a lot of sense upon first watching it. And I was like, this is odd behaviour. But when I started to deep actually what was going on, it started to make more sense why she behaved in that way. The instances were Zizi was basically calling it a free holiday, and Ekin-Su was like, it's more than just a free holiday. Like, it's a reality show. You're filmed 24/7. Like, there's no escape from anything. You are essentially doing a job. And yes, we are getting to sit in the sun, but there's a lot like, we're not physically doing anything, yes, but there's a lot of like mental struggles that are going on. That's what I understood from the conversation, and it did feel like Zizi was just like, yeah, but it's a free holiday, innit? And then it just felt like a really uncomfortable conversation, and Ekin-Su was just trying to shut it down, and Zizi was just keeping on going. Like, this is the first kind of instance where I've seen Zizi kind of do what she says she does best. Do you know what I mean? Where she's just sort of like, she just keeps going. Didn't really endear me to her, I'll be 100% honest. But, like, I'm not going to let one instance ruin her for me. But I thought Ekin-Su was kind of valid in the fact that she was like, why do you keep saying it's just a holiday? It's not. It's not. It's not. Okay? This is not a holiday. This is the same kind of idea. It's just, we're in a house for this in England. I was in a villa in Spain. That's the difference. It's just the setting. It's not a free holiday. You're still doing stuff. And then during nominations, Coulson asked, is this like similar to Love Island? And she kind of just snapped and went, no, can we stop bringing up Love Island? Like, can we just stop? Can we just stop? And I was like, why would she have such a visceral reaction to someone asking about her Love Island experience? And it's because her breakup with the person that she won Love Island with is very fresh and raw. I know myself. I went through a breakup at the end of last year, and it was tough. It was hard, and I can only imagine how tough it is when your relationship won a TV show and then you've continued for almost 2 years, like over 2 years afterwards, and you're still it's hard to break up with someone that you spent 2 years with and also had such an intimate experience in Love Island with. It's the exact same reason why it was tough for Molly and Callum going into All Stars, when they were like, fuck, do we actually still have feelings for each other? Because like maybe we do. And then they started to get on, etc, etc. So she can't remember her Love Island time fondly because the person that she spent it with is no longer her partner. And so I think that's why she doesn't want to talk about it, because if she talks about it, she's probably going to cry. She doesn't want to cry. She's already said that to Fern on the first day. I don't want to cry in front of people. I want to be the strong role model. And Fern was like, oh, well, you need to cry. But like, I understand why she had that kind of response. Do I think it's an excuse? It's not an excuse, it's an explanation, is what I've said. I've said on Twitter, like, oh, this is what I think is the explanation for this. And people were like, well, that's not an excuse. And I was like, no, it's an explanation. I'm not saying that her snapping at Coulson was okay, because it wasn't. But here's the explanation. Some people are so sort of like, clearly they're either terminally online or they've never been through a breakup, because like, how can you not have sympathy for someone that has lost what was potentially the love of their life? You don't know this. She seemed genuinely devastated the other day when she was talking about Davide and how he hurt her. So like, clearly there's a lot of hurt feelings there, and she can't really talk about Love Island without bringing up those memories again. But that's just my opinion on the matter. I'm going to move on now. I am going to talk about the Golden Oldies now. And if you don't know who the Golden Oldies are, it's Sharon, it's Louis, and it's Gary. And they were having a conversation about certain celebrities that they think are not great. I think it all came from Gary saying that he thinks he might have offended Nikita, because Nikita's so in the showbiz world that he name drops people just because they're his friends and they're the people that he works around. So he's not doing it on purpose. He's just, these are the people I'm around. It's not like oh, I met so-and-so, tell you like this. And Gary obviously made a joke about, oh, if you're going to drop the names, I'll pick them up, or something like that, which is quite a funny line. I thought that was quite funny. I might start using that on people, which is actually a really sad indictment on me, but it is what it is. And then Sharon was like, yo, that's exactly what James Corden does, and that's why I can't stand him. And I was like, oh, the gossip and the tea we're getting. This is gorgeous. I'm loving it. It's amazing. And then she was like, oh yeah, and he's sucked up to Anna Wintour. Anna Wintour loves him, but who loves Anna Wintour? And then Louis Walsh was like, Anna Wintour. And it was so funny. I was like, rah. Because obviously I watched for the first time last year The Devil Wears Prada. Devil Wears Prada, fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it, because it's fantastic. But it was so funny to see them take the piss out of Anna Wintour, because obviously I never really knew what it was meant to be about until I was actually watching it, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Right, that makes sense. But anyway, moving on. The last person, I think Sharon said that Ellen DeGeneres was vomit inducing or something like that. It was just a fantastic conversation. It was really, really good. But whilst I'm on this topic, Sharon later was talking about how she's blacklisted in America. She can't really get many jobs because no one will really have her because of the whole incident that happened a couple of years ago where she defended Piers Morgan and said he wasn't racist in his remarks towards Meghan Markle. It's a tough one because I was watching a clip about it the other day, and one of her co-hosts on the talk explained it perfectly. She said, was he explicitly racist? No. But was the dismissal of the racism that she's experienced, was that okay? No, it wasn't. But it was just interesting to hear her talk about it. It seems like that's why she's ready to come back to the UK, because obviously the UK will just put whoever they want on TV. They don't fucking care. But in America, it's a lot more sort of yeah, the whole thing with Sharon Osbourne a couple of years ago was really weird, because like she just got completely axed from her job and like it was a rough time for her, I imagine. Because obviously she became like the villain in people's stories essentially. But yeah, it's nice to see her back on TV. And it seems like she toned herself down a little bit, which I think is good. It's always best to just watch what you say on TV anyway. That's why it's so funny when Louis goes into the diary room and is like, "Am I in trouble?" Because he must have been warned that he's horrendous and that he needs to really, really watch himself in the house because my God, this guy is so scared all the time. Guys, it's the time you've all been waiting for. It's nomination time. Pew, 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 pew. I'm eventually going to get some sound effects that are like, yay, woo! But like, I'm too lazy at this point, so I'm making them myself. So, we are going to start off by talking about Ekin-Su's nominations. Ekin-Su's nominations, one of them came as a surprise, one of them did not come as a surprise. But the first one was Zizi, and the reason why she nominated Zizi was because of the situation that happened in the sort of makeup area, I guess, of the bedroom when they were talking about Love Island. And she said basically there's a lot of tension between us, and I feel like she was really sort of talking down the experience that I had as just a holiday. I feel like she's really hung up on that a little bit. But also, I kind of understand it because unless you've been in that situation, you like see how intense Love Island is. You can't really chalk it up to just a free holiday. If it was a free holiday, they'd be chilling and enjoying themselves the whole time, not having to like be produced, I guess. But the second nomination that she gave was Fern. The reason why she nominated Fern was because she feels like Fern is giving a performance, which is interesting. It's an interesting choice of words. Do I think Fern's pretending? No. And then Ekin-Su was like, oh, and also I feel like she wasn't really listening to me when she was like talking to me on the first night. And I was like, again, I feel like she was, but I don't really understand why you voted for her. If she'd have just stuck with that, I feel like there's a performance element to her. I think that would have been fine. But the fact that then she brought up the sort of conversation. But then I think what she said afterwards was like she hasn't made an attempt to talk to me since, or hasn't had like a conversation like that since with me, whereas I have with other people. So I'm just nominating her. And I was like, fair enough, fair and valid. It is what it is. It's a nomination at the end of the day. David was up next and he voted for Louis because Louis doesn't really do much around the house, which again, am I surprised? Not even in the slightest. This man does not want to do any work. this guy is here for a free holiday. And the second nomination was for Levi because essentially David feels like Levi's a little bit overbearing with the cooking. It felt like when David was cooking some eggs in the morning, it wasn't eggs, he was cooking something, the beans, and Levi was kind of watching them with like a hawk eye and sort of giving them advice. And David was like, listen, it's not that hard to cook beans. Like, I know what I'm doing. Trust me, I make beans enough. I'm not going to ruin them for the house. Trust me. So, yeah, David was kind of like, yeah, not okay. Next up, we have Levi. Levi voted for Zizi because he feels like she makes people feel uncomfortable because she's just doing her job. But her job is kind of being opinionated, being out there, being quite sort of vocal about her thoughts. And he said that that's not always appropriate inside the house because it does make people feel uncomfortable, unsteady, and sometimes your opinion is not necessary at all times, which is something I've come to learn over the years. Like I've had a real problem with that in the past. So like I can understand why he would nominate her for that. Next up, Levi voted for David because he just feels like they haven't connected, which again I feel like is very, very fair and valid. I haven't really got anything else to say about that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Next up, we have Zizi. Zizi voted for Ekin-Su because of the whole like clash of personalities, argument in the bedroom kind of thing. And then she also voted for Lauren. Now, there was a situation with Lauren that happened in the kitchen where Zizi was cutting up some orange slices, and then Lauren came over and went, oh, are you just peeling them? Because I thought we were making a fruit salad. And Zizi was like, no, I'm just peeling them and then I'm going to put them out for people. And Lauren was like, oh, okay, because like I'm making a fruit salad, so like, what's going on? And it was just a bit of bickering backwards and forwards. I'll give Lauren's side of it a little bit later, but Zizi obviously felt a little bit slighted by that. And her second nomination was obviously, oh no, that was it. Those were her nominations. I've already done two. Oh my goodness, what am I talking about? Next up, we have Fern. Fern voted for Levi because she feels like he's very overbearing with the food. She feels like she's constantly under inspection when she's in the kitchen. And honestly, it sounded like Levi is turning out to be a bit of a Dylan, Chicken Man Dylan. I really hope that like someone's like, yo, can you just let me cook? And Levi's like, absolutely. Do you know what? My bad. I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. I really hope he's like that rather than sort of like, I'm just trying to help. Because yeah, that can cause issues. That can cause problems. Fern's second nomination was for Ekin-Su, and honestly, it was for a really poor reason. Ekin-Su had basically been like, yo, you can have one of my bikinis or one of my sort of swimsuits if you wanted to go into the hot tub, which sounds like a really, really generous, lovely offer. And Fern was basically like, that's like what she just took issue with that because she was like, I'm not gonna fit into that. Like, but I feel like Ekin-Su wasn't making a comment on your like weight or anything. She was just being generous and nice, and just it did feel like Fern kind of ran out of reasons to nominate people and was like, oh, Ekin-Su, here we go for it, yeah, sure. Yeah, it didn't really feel like a proper excuse. Next up, we have Nikita. Nikita voted for Fern because he feels like she's very isolated at times, which I think is fair and valid. And he also voted for Lauren because he just hasn't gotten to know her yet, which again, absolutely fair and valid. It seems like Nikita is kind of sailing at the moment. He's not really doing anything. He's not a big personality. He's kind of just there. Yeah, I hope he kind of comes out of his shell because obviously it's vote to save. So if he does end up going up for nomination, I don't know whether he would be saved over some other people. I don't know. Anyway, moving on to Coulson. Coulson voted for Lauren because Lauren apparently has not learnt his name yet. Apparently she keeps calling him like Colston, Colchester, Collie, just random things that are kind of his name but not his name at all. So he's a little bit offended by that. And also he's voting for Ekin-Su because he feels like she doesn't want to get to know him, and when he tries to get to know her, he doesn't really get much in return, which I think is fair and valid. It is what it is. There's not really much you can do about that. Moving on to Marisha. Marisha said that she voted for Lauren because she feels like Lauren is very privileged, and she makes comments about like, oh, I have better food than this or something like that, and it just puts her like, just puts Marisha in a bit of like a bad mood when it comes to Lauren. And then she also voted for David because he might become annoying, which she was like, I really enjoy him at the moment, but he might become annoying in the future. And I was like, that's a piss poor excuse to nominate someone. That was horrendous. Come on, like really, whatever. Gary nominated Lauren because he feels like she can be mean and unkind to people. And he also voted Zizi because he feels like since he was put up for nomination, like solely up for nomination, she hasn't really felt like, she hasn't really made an attempt to talk to him, ask him how he's feeling and things like that, which I think is fair and valid because when she was on the block as well, it really did feel like she was sympathetic and talking about it, and then as soon as she was fine, it's almost like, oh, I'm good, right, can crack on now. So I do understand Gary's frustration there. Lauren also voted for Zizi because of the fruit incident, and she added a little addendum on the end. She basically told the same kind of story, but she said that after the orange pills had been sliced, she went over to people and started bitching about Lauren, and Lauren could hear her, and so she just felt a bit upset about that, which I think is absolutely fair and valid. The other person that she nominated was David, and that's because he's a drama queen and a little bit over the top, and I was like, fair and valid, it is what it is, do you know what I mean? There's not really much you can do. And then Louis voted for Bradley because this was really funny because he really did vote like the two least famous people in the cast, and it really was funny. It really, really was funny because he voted for Bradley because other people have had more life experience and therefore have more stories to tell. And I was like, okay, that's a piss poor excuse, but we move. And then he voted for Zizi because he feels like he doesn't know her. And then he was like, I feel like there are more talented people in the house. I don't think she's quite earned her celebrity status yet. Louis! Louis! You can't say that! That's vile! But also kind of funny. That was funny. I'll talk more about him in a little bit. In fact, whilst I'm here, I might as well talk about it. Louis went on like a real nasty rant about Zizi later on. Basically being like, oh, Zizi hates every woman, because they were talking about like who possibly could have nominated Lauren. And then he was also like, Zizi's done nothing in her life. And then Sharon turned around and went, that's not fair. Of course she has. And I really appreciated Sharon standing up for Zizi, actually. I thought that was a really lovely moment. Louis, you're just turning out to be a bitter old man. Do you know what I mean? Like, grow up. I mean, you are grown, but like, come on. Really? The last person who had their nominations was Bradley, and he voted for Louis because he feels like Louis doesn't really do any work, and Lauren because she makes comments about his cooking and it just made him feel a bit shit, which is fair enough. So after all that, the people who ended up being nominated were Gary, obviously because of Sharon's killer nomination, and Lauren, which... Am I surprised? No, it seems like she is rubbing people up the wrong way in the house. But I feel like she's going to survive. She's going to stay the week. There's no way Gary's not leaving on, like, tonight. Come on. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful to ourselves. Come on, let's not lie. I think that's what's going to happen. But that is all for nominations. I'm going to move on to the iconic quotes and moments. It's time for iconic quotes and moments, and we've got a couple good ones. The first one we've got is David and Bradley teaching Fern what the word slay means. Slay is something that I kind of use a little bit more than I like to admit. It's kind of just become vocabulary, do you know what I mean? It's like I was talking to my friend the other day and I was saying like rah has become one of like just something I say now. I hate it, but like I just say it naturally. It's weird, and like slay's also another one of those. So it was very, very funny to see them teach Fern what the word meant. Next up, we had Fern crying in the diary room, and she was like, oh, oh, I need a tissue. Oh wait, I've got one. She just pulled it out of her sleeve. She's like, I'm an old granny. And it was just so funny. And it really turned what was otherwise like a really sort of like, oh moment into a fuck off. What this is too funny. This is too funny. Next up, we had an impromptu performance by the Bathroom Slayers, which is David and Bradley. I actually really like David and Bradley. They're such a cute little pairing. And yeah, it was weird. It's weird that it's day 3 and they've already got choreographed dances and songs. It's like, what is going on? What is happening here? Actually, what's going on? Because this is really, really entertaining and funny, and I'm really enjoying it. So, yeah, on the whole, that was a funny moment. Followed by Ekin-Su and Bradley being seals on the bathroom floor, which was an odd moment. A really, really strange, odd moment, and I didn't really know how to take it, but it was funny, I gotta say. To end us off, we have a really heartwarming moment. It was Bradley and... Wow, I've really talked about Bradley a lot this episode. And it was Bradley and Marisha talking about his autism, and I just found it such a beautiful moment. It's so lovely to hear him talk about it and be so open and honest, and honestly... He is someone that I wasn't sure how I would feel about him being in the house, because I was like, oh, I don't really know who he is. Like, is he going to be entertaining? But so far, he's very chill. He's very lovely, and I do appreciate that. So, yeah, on the whole, banging job. But guys, that is all we've got time for today. Lots and lots of drama seems to be heading our way tonight. We've got the eviction, we've got a rule break, and apparently there's an explosive argument. So, I don't know. Tomorrow's episode is going to be very, very interesting, and I'm very, very excited to get watching it. But if you guys did enjoy the episode, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. Subscribing is most important. And I will see you guys in the next episode. So keep on ranting. Bye now.